Who is the most valuable fantasy tight end for the 2020 season? We'll answer that question. What the? Travis? I mean, can you at least watch the video first? It could be close. We'll answer that question next. It's a big day of football. You can do this. Make those good decisions. There's never a better time than this week. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Follow. This is our 2020 recap of the fantasy football season. This video titled Fantasy MVPs, and we're taking a look back at the top tight ends from 2020, one of our 4-part series called Fantasy MVPs. So let's get right into it. Number 5, TJ Hockenson. First player on the list for the top 5 of the fantasy MVPs for the tight end position. Number 5 is TJ Hockenson from the Detroit Lions. So again, when you're talking fantasy MVPs, it's not just the production they put up for your team each week, but it's also the value that you got based on where you drafted them. And Hockenson started the year with an ADP of 123.8. He was the 19th tight end off the board, but he finished the season as TE5. So some nice value there. 5 top 5s and 8 weeks in the top 12 for Hockenson. He had a really nice stretch from week 7 to 14. He was the tight end 7 or better 6 times in that 8-week stretch. And also Hockenson finished as the 4th highest appearing tight end on Yahoo's list of the top 500 fantasy teams, appearing on 13.8% of those rosters. So a nice year for the Hawk. Number 4, Robert Tonyan. Next player on the list, it's Robert Tonyan from the Green Bay Packers. Again, another player kind of in the mold of Hockenson. He was not even on the list for an ADP to start the season. I mean, I suppose if you're playing a super deep league, you may have drafted him. For the most part, if you have him on your roster, you got him off the waiver wire, and he finished the season overall as the TE4 for his 15 games. 3 top 5s and 8 weeks amongst the top 12. A great breakout season for Tonyan. 11 touchdowns, tied for the league lead by tight end. 2 weeks as the tight end number 1 over the course of this season. Robert Tonyan returned you some really nice value this season. Number 3, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews at the number 3 spot on this list for the Baltimore Ravens. One of the top drafted tight ends to start the year. He had an ADP of 37.7. That was the 3rd tight end off the board. He returned an overall finish of TE6 for his 14 games. So a little bit below his value, but it's so tough at the tight end spot. For Andrews, 6 top 5s, 8 top 12 weeks over the course of the season. Did have 1 week as the TE1 and also had 5 weeks as TE3 or better. So you expect Mark Andrews to be one of those players you look for year in and year out at the tight end spot. Number 2, Darren Waller. Darren Waller at the number 2 spot for the Las Vegas Raiders. What a great year for Darren Waller. Started out as 61.7 for his ADP, the 6th tight end off the board, and finished the year overall as TE2. 9 weeks in the top 5, 11 weeks in the top 12. That was tied for first for top 5s and first overall for top 12s. A great year for Waller. 3 games of 100 or more receiving yards. That was second among all tight ends, and 9 touchdowns. That was also second. 4 weeks, he led all tight ends in fantasy scoring, and he was the highest appearing tight end amongst Yahoo's top 500 list of fantasy teams, appearing on 25.5% of those rosters, and he was actually the 9th overall player for any position. So Darren Waller made a great run at fantasy MVP this year, but he comes in second on this list. Number 1, Travis Kelce. Our fantasy MVP at the tight end spot. Who else could it be but Travis Kelce from the Kansas City Chiefs? Another great season for Kelce. Started off with an ADP of 18.4. He was the second tight end off the board in your fantasy drafts, but he finished the year overall as TE1 for his 15 games, 9 weeks in the top 5, and 10 top 12 finishes. For Kelce, 6 games with 100 or more receiving yards. That was first amongst all tight ends, 11 touchdowns. He spent 4 weeks overall as the top tight end scorer, and he was also the second highest appearing tight end on Yahoo's list of the top 500 fantasy teams, appearing on 25.0% of those rosters. He was actually the 10th overall player at any position, so he was just 1 spot behind Darren Waller. Boy, it was actually really close between these 2 players for fantasy MVP, but we gave the nod this year to Travis Kelce. Looking ahead with some early fantasy draft projections for that 2021 draft at the tight end spot. And you got to figure Travis Kelce year in and year out, you expect him to be probably that number 1 guy again next year. George Kittle coming back from injury, he'll be there as well. And Darren Waller has been great the past couple of seasons. After that, it gets tough at the tight end spot. You probably figure Andrews and Tonyan will be occupying those 4 and 5 spots. Once you get to that next 5, shuffle up those guys anywhere you like. Good luck. TJ Hockenson, he's been really solid. Rob Gronkowski coming off another Super Bowl win. Hunter Henry, hopefully he has a full year without injuries with Justin Herbert as his quarterback. We'll see what he does. Logan Thomas started to break out a little bit for the Washington football team last year. And Jonnu Smith from Tennessee Titans. Let's see if he can have another nice season down in Tennessee. Thanks for checking out the Fantasy MVP video. This is one of 4 in our series this year, looking back at the 2020 season. Be sure to check out all 4 videos and leave us your comments below. Let us know if you agree with these players or if you think you have other players that should have made these lists. And if you enjoyed these videos, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It definitely helps out the channel quite a bit. And as always, good luck in fantasy. We'll see you next time.